What's up everyone, it's Nepking here and welcome back to my Neptunia Facts 101 series. In this video, there will be 15 facts that I will cover, which are all the facts I had previously covered from parts 1 to 3 from a few years ago. For any of those who are new to Hyperdimension Neptunia, it is a franchise developed by Idea Factory and Compa, which began on August 19th, 2010 with the release of the first Hyperdimension Neptunia game in Japan. This franchise offers a variety of video games, with a mainline and many spin-off games. They also have an anime series and manga. Now, let's begin. Hyperdimension Neptunia Producing Perfection was released on June 20th, 2013. This was the last game released by NIS America or NISA. However, this game cannot be accessed on Steam due to this game not receiving a PC port. So why doesn't Producing Perfection have a PC port? That's because this gameplay utilizes touchscreens, which PC and laptops don't really have. I mean, some do, but not all of them have it, so that's possibly why it doesn't receive any PC ports, so there's your answer. Characters in the Neptunia franchise are referenced from other developers, companies, and consoles, including the main developer brands, which are Idea Factory and Compa. For any Neptunia beginners watching this video, 4 nations of the game industry were based off the consoles, whereas Last Station is based on PlayStation, Lowy is based on Wii, Leanbox is based on Xbox, and Planeptune is based on an unreleased console called Sega Neptune. Other than those, there are a whole lot more on other Neptunia games such as Tamsoft, Sega, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast, Bandai Namco, Konami, Capcom, Square Enix, Sword Art Online, and much more. The iconic Dogoos, which are recurring enemy types for the franchise and also used for the loading screen of games. These cute slimy dogs are found in many of the Neptunia franchise, as they have been in many Neptunia games including Rebirth, mainline, and spin-off games. This enemy is most likely the first type we will be battling against in Vertia Force, which are found in many of the games. As iconic as they are in the franchise, these Dogoos were actually based off of the slimes from Dragon Quest, which are their recurring enemy type, and their designs are very similar to the Dogoos without the dog ears and nose. IF and Compa have been very close friends with each other since childhood, as they were both the main developers of the franchise. But wait, since childhood, how can that be? Because in Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 1, IF just met Compa once when they were like in their late teens, and not when they were younger kids. Before jumping into any conclusions, IF and Compa were childhood friends according to the info screen in Mark II, but you have to understand that Mark II took place in the Hyperdimension, while Rebirth 1 took place in the Superdimension. In Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 1, characters like Compa have a hard time pronouncing Neptune's name. Do you wonder why it's like that? This is due to the fact that pronouncing the name Neptune is hard in Japanese, as different languages have different combinations of sounds due to phonotactics. Like pronouncing Neptunu, which is Neptune in Japanese, is actually tricky to pronounce, especially if you keep the T pronunciation. However, for the character Neptune in the franchise, her name in Japanese is pronounced Neptunu, which is much easier to pronounce as they don't have to have the Y pronunciation, and it's just the U pronunciation right after the T pronunciation. Very ironic that they can pronounce Planeptune properly but are unable to pronounce Neptune, which is literally in the name. In Superdimension Neptune vs Sega Hard Girls, when you enter the Dreamcast era, you'll find 2 characters, which are Uzume and Dreamcast. Depending on where you are playing this game, if you are in Japan or in North America, her outfit is orange, while in Europe, her outfit is blue. The reason for this case is because in Europe, The Dreamcast logo is blue as this was done to avoid trademark issues with Tavola, who also uses the orange swirl in their logo. Okay, for Europe, I know they use blue, but for Australia and Oceania, I don't know if they use orange or blue. If you know, or if you're from Australia and Oceania, let me know in the comments below if Dreamcast is orange or blue in that region. In the Neptunia franchise, all playable characters are female. Well, not so fast. Since Mega Dimension Neptunia V2, which was released on July 5th, 2016, there's actually a character you can purchase to unlock as a DLC who is Umio. Umio is a male, which makes him the first male playable character in the franchise. Umio is a reference from the game Seaman from Sega Dreamcast. In fact, Umi means sea or ocean, while O means male or man, and when you translate it to English, Umio means seaman. In Hyperdimension Neptunia Mark II, it is also the only game in the franchise that has free visual novel cutscenes. Not so fast. Since 2020, Neptunia Virtual Stars also has free visual novel cutscenes. So to be clear, Mark II is the only mainline game that has the 3D visual novel cutscenes, while Virtual Stars is currently the only spin-off game which has the 3D cutscenes. However, the remake of Mark II, Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 2 Sister Generation follows the Rebirth 1 style dialogues, which they reverted back to 2D. While Neptunia is a Japanese-based developed franchise, there is actually one game that isn't developed in Japan. Neptunia Shooters, which was released in 2019, is only developed by Idea Factory International itself, not Compa Heart. Compa Heart wasn't involved in development. Although Idea Factory is the original branch and it's Japanese, Idea Factory International is another branch that is based in the US, specifically Southern California. Speaking of a game being developed by a non-Japanese based developer, Neptunia Shooters isn't the first game that is developed by a non-Japanese developer. The first game is actually Super Neptunia RPG, which a Canadian-based developer, Artisan Studio, co-developed with Compa Hearts. Also, Artisan, a character from the game, was the first character to be referenced to a Western developer. In the English dub version of Neptunia, Vert shares the same voice actress as Ramen Bread, who is Carrie Karanen. However, this wasn't always the case. Tara Platt was Vert's original voice actress since the beginning of the franchise. Tara voiced for Vert up to before Mega Dimension Neptunia V2, so that would be around Hyperdimension Neptunia U Action Unleashed. Tara Platt was replaced due to maintaining consistency of Vert's voice. She was unavailable to voice the Mega Dimension Neptunia V2 due to pregnancy.
I see. As a gamer, I would love to explore this restricted area, but at this rate... Hello, my name is Vert. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
As we all know, Noir is black and Blanc is white. For those of you who don't know French, their name is actually the French word for their colors such as Noir, Blanc, and Vert, which are black, white, and green. Note that Noir with the E is used for feminine terms. Also, Histoire's name is also French for history. Though Noir is black and Blanc is white, they weren't originally planned to be that color. Noir was actually originally going to be red, and Blanc was originally going to be blue. If we take a look at Sunico's illustration for them, that's actually the case, which I find very strange. If that was the case, Noir should have been called Rouge, and Blanc should have been called Blue. But I'm glad Noir is black and Blanc is white. It is obvious that Neptune is the protagonist of the Hyperdimension Neptunia franchise, as her name and the title name are very similar. However, you may be surprised if I tell you that Neptune wasn't originally going to be the protagonist of the franchise. Originally, the protagonist was supposed to be Noir. The reason why Noir was originally planned to be the protagonist was possibly that Neptunia games were only available on PlayStation 3 back then, and we know Noir and Last Station were based on Sony PlayStation. It would be very interesting on how the Neptunia franchise would be like today if that has happened. Hyperdimension Neptunia Mark II, as we know, is the only M-rated game from the ESRB in the franchise. If you want to go further, this game almost received an AO rating. This is due to the fact that CFW Trick was, let's just say he did something disgusting to Ramen Ram. Another reason is the Conquest ending path, which was the darkest scene and it may be too strong for many fans. So think of this like the genocide route in Undertale. Fortunately, Nisa made changes to the game allowing it to be rated M. Also, another thing is, the remake of the game's Rebirth 2 Sister Generation is rated T. Before going into number 1, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell icon, and to leave a like and comment. I'll highly appreciate it, and it helps me a lot as I'll be making more Neptunia content within the coming weeks, and I'll be getting new Neptunia cosplays starting next year, where I'll be cosplaying as Neptune and it will appear in my convention vlogs in 2025. In Super Dimension Neptune vs Sega Heart Girls, if you come across a mission in the Game Gear era, there is a mission where if you look carefully, there's a typo for Netgear's mission. This mission is called Help Netgear, and in the condition, it says, Let's help Netgear, where it's supposed to be labeled as Let's help Netgear. Let me know if you have come across this mission in the comments below. Now that does it for my 15 facts about Neptunia. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do, thanks for coming by. Before I go, my Twitter and TikTok are linked in the descriptions below, and my Discord server is also linked in the descriptions below, so do consider joining if you use Discord regular. This is Nep King, and I'll be signing off. See you in the next videos.